So, Freunde, wir sind zurück zum neuen Sorare-Video und tatsächlich dieses Mal mit Facecam. Wer hätte das gedacht? Und ich habe mir gedacht, ich kann euch viel über die MLS erklären und sonst was mitbringen, aber ich bin tatsächlich einfach kein Experte. Das muss man einfach so sehen. Aber ich habe jemanden gefunden, der kennt sich definitiv tausendmal besser aus in der MLS. Und den könnt ihr gerne abchecken, ist der Link in der Videobeschreibung. Sonst gebt den Daumen gerne ein Video hoch. Es wird jetzt auf Englisch gleich weitergehen. Aber ich habe mir gedacht, komm, die Anmoderation, die geht auf jeden Fall auf Deutsch noch, dass ihr alle im Boot noch bleibt. Und sonst oben Link in der Videobeschreibung, gerne drüber anmelden. Dann 5 Karten auf dem Markt erbieten. Jeder bekommt dann eine Karte for free zurück. Und ich würde sagen, we are switching to English. And I think I'm very happy about the first guest on my channel. And then directly someone from the international area, namely from America.
Yeah.
I thought it would be a great idea to invite an expert from the MLS. And here he is. It's best if you introduce yourself.
Yeah. So again, my name is Chris from the MLS Card Guy YouTube channel. I appreciate you guys having me on and getting to share a little bit. I apologize, I do not speak any German, so hopefully the translation gets over in one piece, but I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, thank you for having time. Before we just start off the MLS, a threshold team for the small purse would be quite nice.
Yeah.
That's why we present a team for €1,000, or 2 teams, like Chris brings here 2 teams to the video. And with that, I pass on to you.
Yeah, so like he said, we have 2 different teams. We have 2 options basically. So if you want to go and buy a rare goalkeeper, we have a team for that. And then we have a team that includes just a common goalkeeper that's a little bit better, but obviously all the budget has gone into the defense and the midfield and the forwards. So I guess we'll just start with team 1 with the goalkeeper. So our goalkeeper is going to be Jimmy Mauer from Dallas, guy that's a nailed-on starter, guy that's way too cheap for what his role is. Honestly, he's going right now for about 0.185. And honestly, he's the cheapest goalkeeper that you're going to find in the MLS, so that's why we went with him for this team here.
Yeah, I'm also considering to buy him, so maybe the price getting higher when a lot of people getting into him. But then the next player would be a defender.
Yeah, so for defender, we're actually going to go across Texas to their rivals, to Austin. We're going Julio Cascante from Austin FC. Really solid, nailed-on starter, about a 47 average. So nothing special, but he's very cheap, and that's the good thing about Cascante. Just a very solid, dependable player, and he helps us save a little bit of budget to use in other places.
I'm also loving it because it's very cheap, and
yeah,
I don't know in the German or in the European leagues, I don't know any starter with this price, so why not for the MLS team?
Yeah, nailed on starter, and not a horrible player either. He's just solid. He's not good, but he's not bad either.
But yeah, you said it. The price is very good for him.
Yeah.
So the next would be a midfielder from Orlando.
Orlando's Junior Urso. A little bit of an older guy, which is maybe why his price is a little lower. But for this season, don't see any reason why his numbers drop at all. Very good average. We're talking about Junior Urso here. Kind of a defensive midfielder, more of a steady guy. Orlando is going to be replacing a lot of their attack, but this really shouldn't affect Urso in the slightest. So Junior Urso, decent pickup for his price as well.
Perfect. Then the next one is a bit a gamble, I think. But yeah, it's your turn.
Yeah, this is where they pay me the big bucks, is to come up with the big gambles. So we're gonna go Stanislav Ivanov from the Chicago Fire. He's a Bulgarian international, I believe, under 23, and he was hurt most of last season, so didn't get really a chance to establish himself in the US. He is going for a green card, which means he plans on staying in the US for a while. The Fire plan on having him for a while. Like I said, he is under 23, and the Fire did just get rid of most of their starting players, so he should get a pretty good chance to run out there as a starter, and you're really not going to find a U23 starting forward for as cheap as he's going right now. He doesn't have a ton of sales, but last sale was 0.03, so really good value pickup in my opinion for Ivanov.
I also think it's a very good player, so I think it could be a good option for everyone. And then this would be the next player from Dallas.
Yeah, so we're going to pair with Jimmy Maurer here. We're going to pair the defender, excuse me, Ryan Hollingshead. Hollingshead's a guy that can really score you some big points. He's not necessarily a just an ETH grind player, but I really like, since we have Maurer in the team, I like spending up a little bit to get Ryan Hollingshead. I think pairing those two gives us a chance to actually be pretty successful and be pretty decent on our ETH grind team. So that's our first team. Jimmy Maurer, Julio Cascante, Junior Urso, Stanislav Ivanov, Ryan Hollingshead. The total for those guys would be 0.325, so you'd have a little bit of a 0.005 wiggle room on that one.
Perfect. I think also Ryan Hollingshead, I have to admit, I have himself aboard some weeks ago, and like you said, the scores are very, very good.
Yeah.
And also I think the team, perfect.
Yeah.
Like I said, you are very, very deep into the MLS and have a lot of knowledge, because
some would argue too deep.
Sorry.
Some would argue too deep.
Fine. I'm also, but only in Germany. So
yeah,
we are going to the next team, I think, and it will be with a common goalie.
Right.
So we'll start with the defender.
Yeah, so the advantage of playing a common goalie, we don't have to throw that 0.185 on Jimmy Maurer, which gives us a lot of playroom with the other players. So we're going to start with a guy that's been in my team from the very beginning. If anybody has followed me before, they all know that I love Keegan Rosenberry from Colorado. Very, very dependable. Only missed the last few games of last year with an injury, played every other minute of the season, and his scores are pretty good. Averages about a 50 over the last 40 as well. So really, really good player, and he's actually going to be the cheapest on our team as well.
Yeah, perfect. I think there are 4 games he were injured.
Yeah.
But I don't know exactly.
Yeah, he missed like the last 2 in the playoff games.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it wasn't very long. He's Mr. Dependable though. He almost never gets injured. So he will definitely be on the squad next year.
I also like him, so
yeah.
Also my favorite defender. So we come to the midfielder.
Yeah, so the midfielder is a former U.S. national team player. Very, very solid. You look at his scores, and they're just a straight line right across. Very good scores, too. I think his average is in the mid-50s. We're talking Darlington Nagbe from the Columbus Crew. 0.067 right now on the last sale, and for that price, you're getting a very, very dependable, solid midfielder that's going to score a lot of points. He's not necessarily going to put up the goals or assists that you're looking for with other leagues, but with an ETH grind team, Nagbe is one of those elite midfield options.
It looks like some cheaper Kimmich, I think, when we are comparing him to Bundesliga players. So straight green lines, I love it.
Yeah.
So we come to the forward, I think.
Yeah, so the forward, a couple different options here, and I don't really know which way to go. So first option, the one that I ended up going with, is Fafa Picault from Houston. Just kind of a solid, dependable guy. Price is a little high for me at 0.1, but at forward, you are willing to pay that little bit more to get a decent forward. Other options here, if you want to be a little riskier, I could actually use Ivanov on this team. So I could absolutely see buying Stanislav Ivanov for this team as well. Or we could go with Benji Michel for Orlando, another guy that's going to be stepping from sub to full-time starter, with Orlando losing guys like Nani, Chris Muller. A couple different options at forward. We're going to go Fafa Picault because he's the safest option, but there are some other options that you could go with here.
Perfect. I think also the safest option would be great for a threshold team.
So yeah,
Fafa, why not? And then the last one would be the extra option.
Yeah, so for extra here, we're going midfielder, and we're going to pick Gadi Kinda from Sporting Kansas City. So Kinda's a little bit of a weird one. If you look at his scores, I think it says that he averages a 52, but his actual average when he plays for Sporting Kansas City is like 56. He goes and basically comes off the bench for the Israeli national team, which artificially lowers his scores. So his scores are much better than they look on Sorare data, which I think is why his price is kind of being driven down a little lower. He's actually a fairly elite option at midfield for Sporting Kansas City, and there's really no reason why that should change next year. Right now he's going for about 0.08. So overall, we only have 4 players on this team because of the goalkeeper: Keegan Rosenberry, Darlington Nagbe, Fafa Picault, Gadi Kinda. The total for those guys is actually 0.294, so we do have a lot more wiggle room here. We have 0.036 left over, so if you wanted to go and add an additional player, you could absolutely do that. But yeah, that's going to be Team 2.
So in the end, I have to say, check out the channel of Chris and leave a subscription there.
So one thing we got to do before we sign off, over on my channel, we're big DC United fans, so I don't know if you guys can see my United jersey here, but we always say at the end of every video, we say Vamos United, so you got to say Vamos United with me. Ready?
Of course, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Vamos United.